on staff.
So them you get the all our viewers around the world, and welcome once again. My name is OLAMILEKAN. First and foremost, I'd like to appreciate my producer, Mr. Frank David, Mr. Archie, the sound producer, and all those that are working behind the scene to make the Niger Voices a successful outing every Wednesday. First, where do we start from? Because there's a lot happening in Africa, West Africa precisely, and I would like you to be a part of the program tonight. I want you to take up your seat. I want you to get a cup of water. The weather is very warm in London, so you might have to also consider having, just maybe consider having a cup of tea, if that is going to be, the solution this evening. I've been looking back in the last week. It's going to be a week now. We are happy new month to all our viewers as we continue to appreciate those of you around the world that are watching us and listening to us as well. And I say thank you so much once again to my producer as well. I need a phone. To my producer that is also going to be with me this evening. My name is OLAMILEKAN, and I say thank you so much. Once again, as we say all the time, the Star Radio UK comes up every Wednesday between the hours of 6 p.m. to 8 p.m., and I will be discussing everything you need to know when it comes to the Ecowas. Everything you need to know. We will be discussing that tonight. First and foremost, let us appreciate that last week, we were here with you last week. We were discussing about the economy, but today it seems that multiple things are happening in Nigeria. The protest has gone up ahead, as a lot of you have been following, just like I have been following as well. The protest kickstart in Abuja, in Lagos, in Kaduna. I've not seen much of the protests in the northern part of Nigeria. Not too sure why, but I'm sure I'll be giving you everything you need to know. One thing that many Nigerians are asking is, what is Bola Tinubu, the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, going to do differently when it comes to, the situation presently with the ECOWAS? Many of you are worried that we might have another war getting closer on the doorstep of the West Africa. What is your concern? What is the United Nations concern? The message again is, can we really say that the United Nations will do everything within their power to avert the war that is getting closer. I'm going to take you through the timeline, every details that you need to know, every information that needs to be heard, from the United Nations to the ECOWAS meeting that took place in Abuja, everything. Be rest assured, we will be discussing that on the Star Radio UK this evening. But one thing is, are we going to see the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria taking a different stand? Sorry about that. For those of you that are watching us, there's a bit of a, yes, I think we've been able to take that off. Once again, thank you so much to those of you that have joined us from the sister station as well. What is your concern when it comes to Nigeria? When it comes to the ECOWAS? Very good evening to you. Just raising, will ECOWAS intervene militarily when it comes to the situation in Nigeria? I mean, as we're monitoring the Niger Republic and the coup, are we going to see ECOWAS getting involved militarily? Or are we just going to see rhetorics from the ECOWAS chairman, that is the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria? What is the question coming from the United Nations? What is the United Nations saying? The Niger are saying that no one, and they really mean business. No one should make any attempt to come down with any military intervention. And that for me is something that I've been looking up to and asking myself, how do we solve this problem? Can this problem be solved diplomatically? Can this problem be solved with negotiation? These are part of what we'll be discussing tonight on the Star Radio UK, the finest African and Caribbean radio station in London. My name is OLAMILEKAN, and I welcome you once again, for those of you that are joining us and those of you that will join us in the course of the program. As I'll be taking you through all the details, I'll also be reminding you that in Nigeria, the NLC strike has gone ahead as planned. Bola Tinubu, the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, tried everything to stop it, but it seems that was unable to be stopped. So the question then is, what is the President going to do differently when it comes to the situation on the table? Do you think that the President might take a different stand when it comes to the NLC? I'm not sure how many days they're going to be on the street, but what we do know is that when event like this pops up, it could last for a couple of days. Many Nigerians will be affected. Whether you are traveling into Nigeria, you might just want to reconsider your traveling arrangement. You might literally want to look into that so that you do not get caught up with the current situation in Nigeria. Lot is happening, and I'll be giving you everything you need to know. Once again, thank you so much to my producer, Mr. Frank and Mr. Archie, for making sure that we can come live to you every Wednesday on the Star Radio UK network. My name is OLAMILEKAN, and I'll be your host tonight. Also, there is a sit-at-home in the southeast. The Onhaise are now saying that we should maybe have a dialogue discussion with the Prime Minister government in exile, Simon Ekpa. Do you think that negotiation will fine-tune the sit-at-home, even though a purported letter came out, according to Aloy Ejimako, that Nnamdi Kanu requested that the sit-at-home should be cancelled? Do you believe that? What is your take on that letter? Peter Obi is thinking that the judgment might favor him but it doesn't have a date yet. What do you think is going to be the outcome of the Peter Obi Presidential Election Tribunal? What is your take on all these is the question tonight. Once again, my name is OLAMILEKAN, and there is a lot. We are going to start from the perspective of the Ecowas, where we know that there was a military coup. And that Niger coup, looking back now, I will give you a bit of the background of Niger as a country. But before doing that, let me welcome my beautiful mom, and to those of you that have joined us around the world as we are preparing for the evening discussion. Tonight is going to be an interesting night, and I want you to sit back and I want you to tell me what is your reaction on the comment section. T. Majek said that letter is called Sakamanje, and probably what that means is that Nnamdi Kanu would not be able to write any letter, because what we were told is that Nnamdi Kanu is currently not allowed to have a pen, not to talk about a paper. These are going to be the discussion tonight, but I want us to start from the ECOWAS. Just Reason said the military option may not be acceptable in a coup d'etat that seems to have been publicly celebrated by the people, although the celebration might have been misguided. Kehinde Oseni said the only way for the Yoruba is Iletiya. Keep the comment coming and be rest assured I will be looking into all your comments and I'll be telling you what the reactions are, as many of you are going to be telling me what is your take. Once again, as I say, good evening to those of you that have joined us. Good evening to my beautiful mom. Good evening to all our listeners. If you're listening to me in Kenya, in South Africa, are you concerned that the war that is about to kickstart, I don't know whether it's going to happen in reality, but what I can say is that from what we are looking at, Niger, or the Niger, officially known as the Republic of Niger, is a landlocked country in West Africa. It is a unitary state bordered by Libya, where many Nigerians have traveled, for those of you that are working out of Nigeria because of the economic situation. Niger is very close to Chad, and that means there's a lot of concern. From the south, Niger is closer to Nigeria. Benin and Burkina Faso to the southwest, Mali to the west, and Algeria to the northwest. So when you look at the geographical aspect of Niger, the international community are now concerned that there could be an open route to so many people that might be traveling to Europe. Because from what I've been studying, from what I've been reading, many Nigerians and other Africans have been using Niger as the route of escape out of Nigeria. Comrade Plan B say, we will break through soonest. Keep the comment coming, and I can assure you, as not the Buhari one, because Buhari was the one that said, assure you. Once again, it is Niger Voices. It is exactly 19 minutes past 1800 hours. My name is OLAMILEKAN, and I'll be taking you through everything we need to know when it comes to the United Nations. What are they saying? The African Union. We're going to be listening to what the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu said on Sunday in the emergency meeting that took place. But I want to hear from so many of you tonight. So please keep the comment coming and let us get your engagement and your view on the current state of situation. My name again is OLAMILEKAN. This is Niger Voices, every Wednesday where we discuss issues bordering when it comes to Africa. Africa, Africa, Africa. You know Africa? Mama Africa. I say good evening once again, and I appreciate those of you that have joined us so far as we are looking into all the details. I am looking into the comments. I say good evening to those of you on the Twitter space, and welcome to the Niger Voices. And the question tonight is, will ECOWAS intervene militarily in the Republic of Niger? Or is it all just rhetoric from the chairman of ECOWAS, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria? What is your take on all this? How do you respond or how do we respond when all this is happening on the territory of Africa? Africa has a lot to offer, but it seems that Africa is not offering anything more than poverty, lack of so many basic things of life, electricity, anything you can think of. Africa seems to be backwards. But one thing I can say is that as I'm going to be reviewing this tonight, I'll be giving you again the background about Niger, a population of 25.2 million as at 2021 by the World Bank. Official language is French. Their currency is West African CFA, just as we know Benin Republic is spending CFA as well. The Naira continued to depreciate against the CFA, as today it is 1,140 Naira to a pound. Welcome to those of you that have joined us so far as I continue to look at, Niger, or the Republic of Niger, is part of one of the most poverty country in the world. The GDP as at 2021 is not very good, 14.92 million for a country that have uranium and gold.
Broadcasting worldwide online 24/7. Broadcasting worldwide online 24/7.
Once again, it is called the Niger Voices. Clefek says, warm. Tinubu stay off. Eniti wamba fiori fwagbon. And what that means in English is that if you are having a coconut and that coconut is used to hit your head, you will not likely want to eat part of that coconut. Madipi said, a remorse of war. Africa is poor for a war. Africa are still not united. Once again, as I have a lot to discuss, I am still giving you a bit of the background to Niger Republic. Frank Babatute said, God let it be Basbos. Of Basbos. What is the meaning of Basbos? A very good evening to my cousin Walata, and a good evening to every one of you that have joined us. And I am going to start looking into what happened, what actually led to the coup. I'm going to take you back 10 months ago, though this is in a French language, so you will bear with me. I cannot do a translation because I do not speak French. This was the this was the Republic of Benin president as at the time, speaking at the United Nations 10 months ago. If someone told him that 10 months after he will be out of office, I'm talking about the president that have now been ousted by the coup leader in Republic of Benin. Republic of Niger, rather. I am talking about the presidential guard that have now taken President Mohamed Bazoum into hostage. But this was President Bazoum speaking at the United Nations 10 months ago. This is how it was addressed as at the time. It's still been addressed there, but not according to the Niger, as the coup d'etat has taken over. Let's listen.
Protocol to His Court, His Excellency. On behalf of the General Assembly, I have the honor to welcome His Excellency Mohamed Bazoum, President of the Republic of the Niger.
And this was 10 months ago. This was 10 months ago, for those of you that probably are not aware.
Excellences, Mesdames et Messieurs les chefs d'État et de gouvernement, Mesdames et Messieurs les chefs de délégation, Mesdames et Messieurs les représentants des organisations internationales, Mesdames et Messieurs. Monsieur le Président, de prime abord, permettez-moi de vous adresser mes chaleureuses félicitations auxquelles je joins mes vœux de succès pour votre brillante élection à la présidence de la 77e session ordinaire de l'Assemblée générale de l'Organisation des Nations Unies. Je voudrais saluer le leadership et l'engagement du secrétaire général des Nations Unies, M. Antonio Guterres, en faveur de la paix et du développement, de l'action climatique, de la maîtrise de la pandémie.
Well, we pray that we understand what language, but to be honest with you, I have no idea what he's saying. But I know that the Niger president then, well, he's still the president because the ECOWAS believe that he's still the valid president, even though the coup organizer says, well, we don't believe in him. He's not the president anymore. We take him out. This was 10 months ago. So I'm taking you through the timeline so that some of you have the understanding of what actually took place that led to what we are now witnessing in the Republic of Niger. Thank you so much, Tiamu. I'm doing very well. Good evening to you, Mr. Gapson, our beautiful mother, Ramatu. Good evening to you. And good evening to you, Iyalaje Akure. Good evening to you, Olajire. Good evening to you, all the Yoruba Nation campaigner and all the Biafra campaigner. And good evening to those of you that are revolutionaries under Omoyele Sowore. So let me take you through the timeline. Major city, as we speak right now in Niger, are now facing a rolling blackout following the last week coup in the West African country. There is already power shortage as a result of Nigeria now cutting supply to his northern neighbor. So it seems the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, good evening to you, Adam OLAMILEKAN, Moses CA, good evening to you. Keep the comment coming. Just reason say you may ask if there's a trusted French speaker to phone in and interpret for us. Okay, maybe we might do that later on, but let's continue quickly because there's a lot to discuss and I have everything packed up ready for you tonight. I'm telling you, it is going to be a fantastic evening with me on the Niger Voices. Good evening to those of you on the Twitter space. Good evening to those of you on the Twitter. Good evening to every one of you that have joined us so far. Already, it seems that the federal government of Nigeria have said, you know what, disconnect the power supply. We are not supplying them any more power. Do you think that is going to make them feel, maybe we should just accept it? Let me now give you the timeline. 4 days ago, or should we start with Bola Ahmed Tinubu responding to the problem from Abuja during the ECOWAS emergency summit? This is how Bola Tinubu addressed the ECOWAS members as we go straight into the conversation. My name is Olami Koiki. This is Star Radio UK, Niger Voices every Wednesday. Let's go into it.
Because you accepted my invitation to be here, that's why the short notice I was given to you. Some people who are far off in the east, and especially those who travel 8-9 hours to be here. I thank all of you for honoring this emergency. It shouldn't have been so. If not for extraordinary summit that is necessary to address the situation that we have in the Niger Republic, threatening our authority, and a very devoted member of this union. Great thanks to African Union and other international observers. We can't pretend that we didn't have the knowledge of what had happened and what is still happening. We have an hostage situation, an interruption to properly elected government of the Niger Republic. Your presence here reflects your commitment to democracy, principle, and value.
All right, let's leave that for the time being. That is how the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, also the chairman of ECOWAS, made his first address to ECOWAS. Well, not the first address, but the emergency address that we saw happening in Abuja on Sunday, which is literally the 30th of July, if I am right with the date. But a lot has happened since then. There's a lot of things that have happened since the Sunday. The communique, and the reason why we are doing the program this evening, is part of the communique that came out on Sunday. Good evening to you, Mrs. Sarah Oyelowo, our beautiful grandmother. Welcome to Omolara Iyabo-Ajala. And good evening to all the Ayomikun Damiju. Good evening to OLAMILEKAN. And thank you so much to all the backend team. I guess there should be an audio. Someone is saying there is no. Okay, it's better now. Okay, I got that. Thank you so much. My question tonight is, many Nigerians are probably not following what is happening, as Bola Tinubu has now a huge role as the chairman of ECOWAS. He will also be making the decision, or a joint decision, to attack Republic of Niger. The question is, would Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, give the all clear? Because as we speak today, there was an emergency meeting. I am not sure whether as many of the ECOWAS Chief of Defense Staff were present, but there was an emergency meeting that took place in Abuja, where we know that, from what we are told, 5 countries were absent as the ECOWAS defense chiefs meet in Nigeria. It is now literally a countdown to where the federal government of Nigeria, the chairman of ECOWAS, will be giving an order for attack on the Republic of Niger. Are you concerned as a Nigerian? Tunde Talk Show say, let them go ahead. Burkina Faso, Mali, and Senegal will also attack them. That means they're going to attack Lagos. They are going to attack Abuja. They are going to attack Anambra. They will be attacking many places in Nigeria, and Lagos will be a target. Kingsley, good evening to you. Madipi said Nigerians are not ready. How do you expect them? Keep the comment coming. I want to read more from you. Larry Lamina say, yes, Tinubu is calling for Third World War. Do you also think that this is a proxy war that is about to leash? I have what the United Nations have said 4 hours ago, and I'll be giving you, as I wish I was on the seat as well, I will have given question to the representative of United Nations that is currently based in Ghana as I speak to you right now. Shout out to those of you in Ghana. Shout out to those of you in Benin Republic. I'll be coming back to the self-determination struggle later on. Do you think that the letter from Aloy Jimako is valid? I'll be telling you everything we need to know so far. But as we speak right now, we are now countdown to the attack of the Republic of Niger by the ECOWAS, and the chairman is President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. We already know that the Mali and Burkina Faso, and these are part of the question that was put to the United Nations journalists that were asking questions. Some of the question asked was, what is the United Nations going to do? Are we going to see a resolution council, the Security Council coming up? This again is
broadcasting worldwide online 24/7. Broadcasting worldwide online 24/7. And work
at home,
on your smartphone.
in your car,
And work
at home,
on your smartphone.
in your car,
And work
at home.
on your smartphone.
Once again, Niger Republic is to the south of Africa, and there's a west of Africa, and there's a lot going on there. I want to go back again to more of the discussion from the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu in Abuja on Sunday. This is more of what he had to say.
I appreciate that. It is a very challenging time for us, and it is time that we must demonstrate our commitment to a sustainable fact clearly open to us, that without freedom and democracy, there can be no development. There can be no end to poverty. The danger to us right now is the fact that one of us, His Excellency Ahmed Bazoum, is in hostage by his own army. A presidential guard. What a calamity.
Well, what a calamity. That is, the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria saying that what a calamity. In 21st century, this shouldn't be happening. This is not going to happen under my nose as the chairman of the Ecowas, and I'll be doing the first thing, disconnect the power supply to the Republic of Niger. So as I speak to us right now, Nigeria have now disconnected or cutting supplies to his northern neighbor, Republic of Niger. Remember that Nigeria supply electricity as well to Benin Republic, but it seems that according to what we know, Nigeria have now also say, we will be coming after you, but not as Nigeria, but under the West African trade bloc called ECOWAS. So do you think that the sanction on Niger, but has not said if this include electricity supply, but already they've disconnected that. ECOWAS defense chiefs have been meeting in Nigeria to discuss a potential military intervention to roll back the coup. Do you think that the ECOWAS will put in foot soldier straight into Republic of Niger in the next few days? Today is Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So in the next 4 days, in less than 72 hours, are we going to see the tension dosing through negotiation? Do you think that those that have plotted the coup will back down and they will allow the constitution to be reversed back because they've already cancelled the constitution? Will they allow the president, Mohamed Bazoum, to take charge back? Remember that they've stopped every relationship with France. As I speak to you right now, I've been seeing footages of evacuees out of Niger Republic. America is standing by. Do you also know that America has the biggest drone base in Niger Republic to the tune of $110 million? What is going to happen to these bases? As we have been told, I'll be telling you more about that as well. The United States of America has a biggest drone base in Niger, and as we speak right now, it seems situation is not doing very well. What is going to happen to the United States of America and the base drone that they have in Niger? Is there a U.S. military base in the Republic of Niger? The U.S. has two major military locations in Niger Republic, the Air Base 101 in Neyman and the Air Base 201 in Agadez. The Niger Air Base 201 is a United States drone air base near the Agadez in Niger Republic. The base is about 5 kilometers southeast of Agadez. It is owned by the Nigerian military, but it was built and paid for by the United States of America. It is operated by the U.S. military as a drone base. as I speak to you right now, all this is becoming a concern to the U.S. government and likewise many other foreign diplomats and different countries that are now moving their citizens out of Republic of Niger. Good evening to you, to my beautiful mom once again, and welcome to those of you that have joined us. My mommy, Beauty Amokwe, very good evening to you. Gabson, Teles, good evening to you. Odun Chicago, my very own Paddy. This is Star Radio UK. This is how we roll it every Wednesday. It's just about 20 minutes. I'll be telling you all the Q&A that took place at the United Nations just under 5 hours ago. But if you're joining me for the first time, this is how we do it.
On your smartphone.
In your car, at home.
On your smartphone.
In your car, at home.
On your smartphone.
The question is, when there's a coup, remember that Buhari had a coup in the 80s. And whenever there's a coup, there'll be a lot of changes. There'll be so much movement. And the question is, what is going to happen to the American drone base in Niger? Because we're talking about almost close to $110 million worth of drone base, where the Americans are using that to operate into other regions for security purposes. Remember that the Vice President Kamala Harris was still in Africa some few months back. It didn't touch to Nigeria, but she was in Ghana, she was in Benin Republic, and they also promised millions of dollars to continue to support the terrorism happening in West Africa. The West are now concerned. We're talking about $110 million US drone base in Niger Republic is now a bit of concern to the Americans and also to the American government. My name is OLAMILEKAN, and this is Star Radio UK every Wednesday. This is how we roll it out, as we say. As we say.
On your smartphone.
In your car, at home.
On your smartphone.
In your car. This is Star Radio UK. This is Star Radio UK.
And if you don't know what it looks like, when we talk about the drone, I will give you a background as the engineers are working on that. So there's a lot at stake. But the question is, many journalists kept the question going at the United Nations. I'll be telling you what they were saying and the question being asked. Are you concerned as a citizen of ECOWAS that the ECOWAS are saying that allow a constitutional government in place to return back, or in 72 hours, we are going to attack Republic of Niger? I am not the one saying that. This is what Bola Ahmed Tinubu was saying. Let's go back again to Abuja. Well, not really Abuja, but part of the discussion in Abuja on Sunday.
It's an assault on every one of us. And we must take a very strong action.
Well, that word, I want you to take note of that. We must take a very strong action. Bola Tinubu is not joking. You know, the Jagaban of Nigeria is not joking at all. We will not allow any coup to take place in West Africa under my nose as the chairman of the ECOWAS. What is your take on that? Already there's a lot going on in Nigeria. We're talking about the NLC. I'm coming back to that later. There's a sit-at-home. There's still a lot of agitation, and there's a lot of pressure going on. But we are discussing tonight on the Niger Voices on the Star Radio UK. It is the first day of the month, according to my own, because whenever I come on the Star Radio every Wednesday on Niger Voices, it is my own first way. Yesterday was the first day of the month. I say Happy New Month to everyone. Happy birthday to those of you celebrating your birthday in the month of August. But let's listen again. Bola Tinubu say, we will give you action. Do you think that is going to happen? Or do you think it's Loriro? How many of you remember that? Loriro? Loriro? Do you think that Bola Tinubu will take action? I think he loves to take action. Do you think that he will have the balls to move in the soldiers? What do you think about these? I love the drones. America have spent $110 million of drone into the base. But as we speak right now, nobody knows what is going to happen because there's a coup. The U.S. military is unable to fly their drone from a base in Niger because the country airspace has been closed after the coup overthrew the government, according to the U.S. official. The drones can no longer fly. Airspace is locked. Any aircraft will be brought down, according to the coup organizer. What is your take on that? Mrs. Maddy say he missed the talk.
Take a very strong action.
Well, he repeated again, we will take a very strong action. We will not tolerate nonsense in West Africa. Known as the Nigerian Air Base 201, the installation of this air base that allows drones to fly out from Niger Republic cost the U.S. government $110 million to build, and it features a 6,200-foot runway for the MQ-9 Rapid, which is the one behind me, as well as the manned aircraft. The U.S. military began conducting the drone flight from that base since 2019. Are we seeing a proxy war happening in West Africa? Because we saw that Russia just held what we can say a summit with African countries, and I saw the coup. The military coup plotters from Mali and Burkina Faso were also present. But Bola Tinubu said, no. We are not going to allow this to happen under my nose.
Take a very strong action. We want to protect the life of Bazoum.
Well, he wants to protect the life of one of them. Do you think that it is all going to change rapidly in the next 4 days should ECOWAS go ahead with the plan? At exactly 1900 hours, we will be going to the United Nations. It will take a bit of 10 minutes where you will listen to all the details, questions, and answers surrounding what the United Nations knows, what the United Nations are doing, what actually is United Nations going to do differently to make sure that we avert any war in Niger Republic, or is the United Nations going to sit back and allow ECOWAS to take action?
Of Bazoum, President Bazoum. Disrupting the democratic order has left the people of Niger in a state of uncertainty and vulnerability.
Well, and definitely they are, because there's so much happening as I speak to you right now. 5 of the ECOWAS countries were absent during the defense chief meeting in Nigeria, according to the news coming from Abuja. Defense chief from Mali, Niger Republic, Guinea-Bissau, Burkina Faso, and Guinea are conspicuously absent from the meeting currently ongoing in Abuja. Remember that Mali have stated it clearly. We will support Niger Republic. Guinea have said the same thing, or should we say Burkina Faso are saying that should ECOWAS attack the Republic of Niger, we will take that as war against our brothers. Do you think that there's a danger ahead? Are you concerned? Are you worried? Are you not worried? What is your take on that? Good evening to you, Bishop Additional. When oppression is too much, helpless people pray to God, will work out a way to punish the oppressor. It is God at work. Larry Lamina say, Agbado Boko Ramu is killing Nigeria for so many years. What has Bola Tinubu done? Grandma Felicia Jagbe, good evening to you. Good evening to you, Aderoju. Good evening to you, Elijah. Oh, hey, Biafra. There's a lot going on in West Africa. Shout out to all our grandmothers. But let's go back and hear more from the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Bola Tinubu says, I will take decisive action because I am not tolerating nonsense under my nose as the chairman of ECOWAS.
But we have to face the challenge that we have right now. Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, during the 63rd Ordinary Summit, the authorities set up a troika, comprising some of us to deepen reflections on security matters in the region and to accompany ECOWAS mediators. We'll be discussing other details, but just let's cast our mind back. On this assault, I've briefed some of you about the actions that I've taken. I'm prepared to abide by all resolution necessary.
The word resolution propped up during the Q&A of the United Nations, but I've not seen United Nations sort of resolution. Let's leave Bola Tinubu and let's go to the 4 days ago. So when we count 4 days ago, today is Wednesday, so let's count back. So yesterday was Tuesday, Monday, Sunday, Saturday. Before the emergency summit in Abuja, the United Nations also had a lot to discuss. And that part of discussion was Niger, peacekeeping operation, and other topics. This was on the 28th of July. Let's listen to what the United Nations response was as at the beginning of this coup happening in Niger Republic. But as I speak to you right now, the Germans have withdrawn their aid. They are no longer giving any more aid to the Republic of Niger. Niger has also, the coup, those that planned the coup have also started arresting top politicians. Let me quickly give you some of the headline that is coming up as well. Coup leaders in Niger Republic on Monday have now arrested the ministers and senior members of the party of the disposed President Muhammadu Bazoum. According to Reuters, the Nigerian Party for Democracy and the Socializing said junta forces arrested the ousted government mine minister, the head of the ruling party. Every one of you have seen the finance minister was crying when he was told, where is the money? If you don't give us the money, I'm sure a lot of you saw what was said in there. Even the oil minister, Mahamani Mahmudu, who is also the son of the former president Isosu Mahudu, has been arrested. The party added that the interior minister, the transport minister, and a deputy had already been detained, while calling on citizens to come together to protect democracy. Do you think that they want to protect democracy? Let's hear what the United Nations said on the 28th of July.
Short while we will be joined by Carl Scow, the Deputy Executive Director and Chief Operating Officer of the Rome-based World Food Program. He's going to update you on WFP's emergency responses and operational challenges, including those due to the funding shortfalls and the suspension of the Black Sea Initiative. Quick update regarding the situation in Niger. I know a number of you have been asking about the whereabouts of the head of our Office for West Africa and the Sahel, Leonardo Santos Shimao, is briefing or is about to brief the Security Council on the Secretary General's behalf in close consultations. He is back in Dakar, and he has been conducting close consultations with ECOWAS, with the African Union, and other key partners to support the regional efforts to restore constitutional order. He's also been engaging with a number of others. On the Sunday, we expect him to be at the ECOWAS summit in Abuja, which will be dedicated.
So, this was 2 days before the Abuja ECOWAS summit. So I'm just taking you through the timeline so that you are not lost in the conversation. This is still the finest African and Caribbean radio station in London. I'll be telling you everything we need to know about the NLC. I thought that they're going to pull the plug, but it seems they said no. Bola Tinubu speaking on Monday would not stop the NLC protest.
Broadcasting worldwide, online 24/7. Broadcasting worldwide, online 24/7.
Why are those in Niger celebrating the Russian flag and burning down the French flag in a sign of growing hostility towards the West since the coup in Niger. A businessman proudly showed off his outfit in the color of a Russian flag in a traditional outline of the disposed President Mohamed Bazoum. Since the coup, there has been a war of words between the military and the West. Mr. Bazoum was a staunch ally of the West in the fight against militant Islamists and was a strong economic partner as well. Niger owns a French military base and is the world's 7th biggest producer of uranium. Let me remind you, Niger hosts a French military base and is the world's 7th biggest producer of uranium. The fuel is vital for the nuclear power, with a quarter of it going to Europe, especially the former colonial power, France. Is this making sense? Is this the reason why those that plot the coup are tired of the colonial mentality? Is this why? Good evening to you, Omobolaji, and good evening to those of you that have joined us as we continue to review everything we need to know. T. Majek, good evening to you as well. Do you think that the West are now facing as many of the crises that is uprolling quickly? What is your take on that? We might open the phone line towards the end of the program, but the Niger hosts a French military base and is the number 7 biggest producer of uranium, but all this travels to Europe, but most especially, most of it, particularly, most of this uranium end up in France. Since General Abdurrahman Tchiani was overthrown, the president in a coup on 26th of July, Russian colors have suddenly appeared on the street. Do you think that the Niger are excited that working with Russia is much better than working with the West? Thousands took to this part in this protest in the capital, Niamey, on Sunday, with some waving the Russian flags and even attacking the French embassy. It now seems that this movement is spreading across the country. The businessman is actually based 500 miles or 800 kilometers away from the central city, but is a proud person putting on a Russian outfit. They have exploited all the riches of my country, such as the uranium, petrol, gold. The poorest Nigerians are unable to eat 3 times a day because of France. My question tonight is, Oguntade Sean say, do ECOWAS think we are still in the olden days like before? This is a new era and a computer age and things would happen. Godin House, good evening to you. You said White Lion. Daniel, the engineer, good evening to you. Maintain for Life 2001, good evening to you. Deep Omameli DJ, good evening to you. And welcome to those of you as you are joining us. Comrade Plan B say it will be a disgrace sooner than later. Once again, this is the finest African and Caribbean radio station in London.
Online 24/7.
As I continue to monitor the situation, remember that this is Star Radio UK.
Star Radio UK. This is Star Radio UK. This is Star Radio UK.
Why are those celebrating the Russian flag and burning down the flags from the Republic of Niger? I'll be telling you everything we need to know. It seems that we are now seeing part of West Africa that are now tired of what we can say the Western power, the Western rule. Remember to speak at the appropriate time, because when we don't speak out, we don't know what is happening. Keep the comment coming and I'll be reading them out for the benefit of those that are not watching from a particular platform. Remember to follow us on the Star Radio UK network every Wednesday on Niger Voices. Remember to also subscribe on the Star Radio UK Twitter, where we communicate with you, like I said, at exactly before 8 o'clock. Everything about self-determination, the Simon Ekpa, the government in exile, the Prime Minister, Nnamdi Kanu's letter, IGBOHO, lifting the embargo, all that will be discussed. But for now, we are continue to discuss ECOWAS. The Nigerian Labour Congress seems to be tired of the lies of the government. Since 1940, according to the government in exile, Simon Ekpa, I picked that up from his Twitter feed, he says, and I quote, since 1940, we have been asking for a better pay rise. We have been asking for a better minimum wage, but that seems to not happening. Do you think that as many people that came out today celebrating, do you think that it will make any changes? What is your take on that? As I continue to monitor everything surrounding the coup, the ECOWAS, remember that Bola Tinubu on Monday says, I will give up 500 billion palliative. Do you believe the government? Why are Nigerians not believing this government? Do you think that Bola Tinubu palliative will make any impact? What is your take with America now losing the air base that was built with over $110 million? Do you think that is just a temporary measure? Do you think that everything will come back to normal? Are we only exaggerating all this? Do you think that Niger will come back in place and just accept democratic rule and allow the coup plotter to be pardoned? What is your take on all this? Where do you stand? Are you concerned, West African citizen, thinking that whatever is happening on the ground there would have a big impact on your lives? Do you think that whatever is happening now is just what we can call change of power? Is the American excited with what is going on between all these? Is this going to be a game changer between the West and Russia on the territory of West Africa? We saw what is happening inside Sudan. That seems not to be coming up on the news anymore, but the war is still going on. And as you can see in the image that the engineer has pulled out there, you can see to your right-hand side the Russian flag, and right on the other side is the flag of the Niger. And it seems that they keep burning down the flags that represent the French. What is going on? Do you think that any attack will mean an attack on Niger, according to Mali and Burkina Faso? Let me also remind you, the IMF had yet to disburse a total of $131.5 million loan to Niger that was literally approved just few weeks before the coup. And now it's just about 3 minutes past 7 p.m. and we go straight to United Nations, where you will listen to part of the conversation that took place some 5 hours ago when the United Nations were taking the Q&A from their representatives. Let's take you through that now.
Mr. Santos Shamal, can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
Okay, great. All right, we're set. Now let's get started. Without any further ado, we have with us the Secretary General's Special Representative for West Africa and the Sahel, Leonardo Santos Shamal, who is talking to you from Accra, Ghana. Mr. Santos Shamal, welcome.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. First and foremost, let me reiterate our condemnation of the seizure of power by force in Niger. The unfolding crisis, if not addressed, will exacerbate the deteriorating security situation in the region. It will also negatively impact the development and lives of the populations in a country where 4.3 million people need humanitarian assistance. Niger and the region do not need coups d'etat. Populations deserve to enjoy peace, democratic governance, and prosperity. Heads of states of the region gathered in Abuja last Sunday for the ECOWAS Extraordinary Summit on the situation in Niger and have taken decisive action commensurate with the gravity of the situation. We remain engaged to support ECOWAS efforts towards restoring a constitutional order and consolidating democratic gains in Niger. Thank you. This is my opening remarks.
Okay.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much. We'll now turn the floor over to questions. First off, from Edith Lederer of the Associated Press.
Thank you, Mr. Santos Shamal. On behalf of the United Nations Correspondents Association for doing this briefing. It's a subject we're all interested in. My question is, the military leaders of Mali and Burkina Faso have said that the deployment of any foreign forces from ECOWAS or elsewhere would be considered an act of war, and they would join the Niger coup leaders to help fight. You were in Nigeria for the ECOWAS meeting. Do you expect ECOWAS to go ahead with the deployment of troops in light of this? Have you still been having any new discussions on what might come next in efforts to restore President Bazoum to power?
We firmly to give 1 week to the military junta to hand back power to President Bazoum. If this doesn't happen with after that week, then other options are on the making, including military intervention, including use of force. That's what they said. That period, in my view, is try to give time for a peaceful settlement to take place. So there's been an effort underway. Yeah, you may recall that they asked the president of Chad to go to Niamey to meet some of the key personalities involved on this matter. So, and I believe that other efforts also are underway. So I hope that the use of force eventually will not be necessary.
Is the UN involved in any of these new efforts to peacefully resolve this situation?
We are supporting ECOWAS because our role is precisely that, and not be aware, but we are not engaged on any negotiations so far. But we are fully supporting all the efforts to restore democratic order in that country.
Ibtisam Azam.
Hi, my name is Ibtisam Azam, Al-Arabi Al-Jadid newspaper. I have a follow-up. When you say you're supporting all efforts, does this also include the statements you referred to by ECOSOC, which says, which talks about, which includes the use of force in case the military does not reinstate the elected president? And if I am just to clarify, so from the UN, from your office, you are not in any direct contact with the military, with the coup people, and when was the last time you were in contact with President Mohamed Bazoum? Thank you.
Well, a few weeks ago, I visited Niamey. It was well before the coup. This time around, when the coup started, I tried to contact him without much success, but I sent him a message of solidarity. So now the decision, it's not a UN decision. It's a ECOWAS decision. But what we value and support for is that all means to find a peaceful solution for the problem should be used. But recognize also that ECOWAS has the right to take other measures if they feel fit.
Just to clarify, sorry, just a follow-up. So does that mean, I mean, it's clear for me that it's ECOWAS' decision to, or for the issue of the use of force, but does the UN support that or not? Or do you believe in such case they would need a Security Council resolution?
No, the UN only can act with the UN mandate. Without that mandate, UN doesn't have mandate to intervene. That's why I was saying that the eventual use of force is a sub-regional decision by ECOWAS.
Okay, I want you to take note of some of the questions. We're going to go back again to the United Nations. What you're listening to was just 5 hours ago, Q&A from the media to the representative of the United Nations presently in Ghana. Some of those questions that are coming through is United Nations involved, supporting but not engaging? So the United Nations is working behind the scene. Does the UN also going to allow a United Nations resolution before an attack? Well, according to the spokesperson there says, this is just a regional problem and it has to be dealt with regionally. This is the head of the United Nations Office for West Africa and the Sahel, Leonard Santos Semo. He was speaking about some few hours ago the unfolding crisis in Niger, addressing with the deteriorating security situation in the region. I want to go back to the United Nations and I want you to listen to more of his response from some of the journalists on the ground.
By ECOWAS.
Africa Confidential. You talked about giving the junta 1 week. Do you think it's realistic? And do you think also it's, what is the word, realistic to impose sanctions on a country which is the poorest country in Africa?
Well, Mali, Niger, is a member of a regional organization. So when you do so, that means that you accept to abide your political behavior in line with the principles of that organization. On the other hand, you know by being a member what is going to it might happen to you if you don't follow, if you violate the rules governing the organization of which you are part of. And therefore, to say that 1 week can be more than enough if everybody talks in good faith to find a workable solution, if everybody wants to avoid a bloodshed.
Okay, so what is actually saying there that 1 week is more than enough for the coup plotters and the ECOWAS to determine. The question is, what happened to Mali? What happened to Burkina Faso? We know that some of those other countries, they've been coup. What has been the response of ECOWAS? We know, according to what we have, there's been almost 82 coup in that region. But the coup that is happening in the other parts, why has it not make any impact when it comes to the ECOWAS bloc? So let's take a look at, what countries have coup occur before we go back again, to the United Nations as we speak. The European countries are now evacuating their citizens as I speak to you right now. I am seeing images coming out of that. West Africa is threatening to force, use force against those coup leaders. Do you think that, all these is going to make any changes? I'm going to give you a background to some of where we've been able to talk about the coup. Burkina Faso, Mali are warning the military intervention in Niger. Do you think that that would dull the tension? Some of the Niger neighbors defend the coup. They are even hinting at war. It is a warning for Africa. Nectech Electrical, thank you so much. Ayo Ore, Nigerian politicians will be so scared right now. Keep the comment coming. I'll be picking your comment as we go into it. I saw Prophet Ogundele, Oluwaseun Okunsoya say, enough is enough. Yoruba nation has started the journey to the honey land, no going back to the desert land. Prophet Ogundele say, yes, Yoruba nation will come out of Nigeria. Abraham Black says, good evening. And likewise, Mr. Samuel Afolabi say, ẹni tí ire rẹ̀ dàrú, ẹni tí ilé rẹ̀ dàrú, ó fẹ́ lọ tò ilé onílé. Tinubu is joking with fire. And that means that, Tinubu's house is on fire and is planning to fix the house of his neighbor. The Prophet John Ogundele says, time for Yoruba nation to go. Ẹ̀yin ọmọ Yorùbá ní gbogbo àgbáyé. Mr. Gbemi, good evening to you. And again, good evening to Mr. Samuel Afolabi. Say, principles and values of democracy, said Tinubu with a whoo. Yekini Mustafa, Mukibobo Enti Oke Ogun. Good evening to you, Mr. Adelagan Samson Oladipupo. My beautiful, beautiful auntie, Adeleke Blessing Mary, good evening to you. All hail our Biafra brothers and sisters. Tiami Lukman, I say good evening to you. Keep your comment coming. I'll be reading them out. Isaac Olaide, good evening to you. And from our mother, Omolara Yabuajala says, Happy New Month to everyone. And those of you on the Twitter, good evening to you. Madipi says, we don't want a war in Africa, but it seems that Ecowas is pushing for a war. And let's come back again to more Q&A. We still have about just about another 10 minutes, as so many questions were asked during that interaction with the regional, with the head of the United Nations Office for West Africa. He was communicating from Ghana through United Nations when I picked this up, and we thought we should let you know as well. So this is how the United Nations is responding to the current crisis going on as we speak right now. Once again, if you're joining me for the very, very first time, you've not been on this platform before, you don't know what we do here. What we do every Wednesday is called the Niger Voices, where we talk about everything that's got to do with the indigenous people. We talked about the Yoruba nation, the Biafra nation. We talked about the Nigerians as those that still wants to keep Nigeria. I am not one of those. Nigeria is a failed contraction, and it is time that we allow a sovereignty of the Yoruba people. Good evening to you, Comrade Shegun Ono, or Mobolaji Abdullahi. Say, Yoruba kingdom not going back. And let's say, once again, a very good evening to those of you that are listening to us from every part of the globe. If you're watching me from Africa, let me know. Okay, that is not the one we're looking for. Bear with us once again. As we say, this is still the finest African and Caribbean radio station every Wednesday between 6 p.m. where we talked about Niger Voices.
Radio UK. This is Sound Radio UK. This is Sound Radio UK.
At home. On your smartphone. In your car. At home. On your smartphone.
This is Sound Radio UK.
Broadcasting worldwide, online, 24/7.
And we say welcome to those of you if you're joining me for the first time. Let's go back again to United Nations, where we take more of the Q&A.
If everybody wants to avoid a bloodshed.
Of the sanction, please.
But the sanctions are now being imposed with immediate effect. Yeah, so are underway. But even ECOWAS, as far as I understand, is not for use of force. It's for negotiating settlement of the situation. That's why they dispatched the president of Chad and the other envoys trying to find a solution. But what do they say is that they are going to use force if this peaceful means fail.
Murad Al Jazeera.
Thank you. From the statement that issued by the Security Council on the issue, it doesn't seem that the Security Council is willing to take actions. It supports ECOWAS, but it doesn't seem that the Security Council itself ready or willing to take actions. Do you think there is a need for the Security Council to take actions on this issue?
Well, I don't speak on behalf of the Security Council. I don't have a mandate for that. What I can say is that the Security Council issue a communique condemning the coup. So this can be a first stage before eventually taking other measures if needed. But also, it was clear by the communique of the Security Council that the organ is supporting the initiatives led by ECOWAS.
Okay, Margaret Bashir.
Hi, it's Margaret Bashir from Voice of America. Could you tell us, have you spoken with anyone in the military, any of the mutineers, and have they given you any signal whatsoever that this could be reversible? And could you also just tell us where you're speaking to us from today?
Well, I didn't talk to any of the military involved on that. As I said, we are supporting what the whole process is conducted by ECOWAS. And this will be the line we accepted. So we are going to continue along this this path to support the regional organization.
And by the way, he's speaking from Accra, from Ghana.
From Ghana. And have you had any sign that this could be reversible?
Well, it's difficult because the situation is very fluid. What I know is that different member states are preparing themselves to use force if necessary. But as I said, the situation is fluid, but there are these efforts of finding a peaceful solution for the problem. Everybody is giving priority to these efforts.
Michelle Nichols?
For those of you that are listening, that is the conversation going on, some 5 hours ago between the United Nations representatives in the West Africa Sahel, Leonard Santos Simo, speaking to the journalist. Let's go back again and hear more from him.
Those from Reuters. How concerned are you that this could deteriorate into a regional conflict, and how quickly that could happen?
Okay, that question is the same question I'm asking everyone tonight. How concerned are you? Will ECOWAS intervene, and will these make a big impact to the region? According to Comrade Segun Ono, I sincerely hope Nigeria take action. Niger Republic, hopefully, that will hasten the collapse, the contraction called Nigeria, and this will enable Yoruba sovereign nation to be born. Let's go back to the question and see how the answer was given.
Well, my concern is that if measures are not taken or the situation is not reversed, it's very likely that the spread of terrorism in the region can increase. So the concern is there, not only my concern, but also the concern of the region. But no one wants to see regional conflict happening. But on the other hand, according to what I understood during the summit, not only on this summit, but also in the 7 July summit, which took place in Bissau, the region decided to be intolerant to illegal assertion of power.
Abdul Hamid Sayan.
Thank you, Abdul Hamid Sayan from the Arabic daily Al-Quds Al-Arabi. Sir, since the end of the Cold War, there at least have been 82 military coups in Africa. Many of them were able to establish themselves and oust the previous government, being elected or not elected. Recently, there was a coup in Mali and Burkina Faso and many countries. In Egypt, 2000.
I want us to take note of this question. I have listened to this before. This question is the same question I was trying to put out there. Once again, this is Star Radio UK, the finest African and Caribbean radio station in London. My name is OLAMILEKAN, and we are now exactly 19:25, and that means that we still have an hour left to go into the program. After this, we will talk about the NLC, we will talk about the Biafra, we will talk about the Yoruba nation, and we will talk about the letter purported to have come out from Nnamdi Kanu. I'm not sure whether that letter is something that we can hold to table, because DSS would never have granted any such letter to be taken out from their office in the first place. So let's go back again and hear more from the conversation that is going on right now. We're also going to be joining our TikTok. There might be a flip in the network. Bear with us for those of you that are listening to us, because there might be a little bit of flip with the network, because we're struggling to connect our TikTok. But we hope we should be able to bring the TikTok in the next few more minutes. We are still 1 hour into the program, but just after this interview, then I'm going to go straight into the NLC and the other discussion as well. Yes, I can see that already. So what we might do is that we see if we can, slow it back again. We might leave the TikTok for now due to the network fluctuation. Let's come back again to the Q&A.
Burkina Faso and many countries. In Egypt, 2013, a bloody coup. Yet the world were able to tolerate and accept this military coup. Why this is an exception? Why do you think this military coup is an exception, and the African Union, ECOWAS, the UN will not tolerate this military coup?
Why is the Republic of Niger one exception? We've had coup in Mali. We've had in Burkina Faso. Why is this one an exception? Is the question asked by the journalist, and I'm sure it's a question on the lips of many ECOWAS citizens. I'm not sure whether some of us can travel within some of those ECOWAS states without being oppressed. If you're traveling from Nigeria to Benin Republic, you will understand what I'm saying. Once again, a very good evening to every single one of you that have joined us as we continue to monitor the situation in Republic of Niger, where we are currently transmitting on the network here in London. As we say, Nigeria is really going through a test of time. In the next few more minutes, I'll be talking about the NLC.
Military coup. Thank you.
Well, ECOWAS has a protocol on governance on them, which member states have to abide by. The last ordinary summit in Bissau, the decision was twofold. One, that the region, ECOWAS, has to assist those countries in transition, namely Mali, Guinea, and Burkina Faso, to complete the process of transition through elections. Second, not accept coup d'etat anymore. So it is in line with the second part of the decision that the heads of state and observation are taking this action, which is different from what they did in the past, because they understood that, well, this pattern of having a coup d'etat, then having a negotiation, 2 years also transition has to start.
All right, let me help you out a little bit and give you some of the background that we need to know when it comes to some of the coups that have taken place in Africa, West Africa precisely. Military coups were regularly occurrent in Africa in the decades after the independence. We've seen as many coups in Nigeria. The former president Muhammadu Buhari also was a coup plotter in the 80s. Babangida was a coup plotter. As many of the African countries, we've seen coup. And according to one of the journalists there, since the Cold War, we have had 82 coups in Africa. The takeover in Niger, led by the soldiers belonging to the Presidential Guard, is just the latest in the string of coups that have taken place in recent years in Africa. Is this going to be the last coup? I don't know. What is your take on that? Dennis Olaniyan says, Tinubu fẹ́ fi iná sí orí òrùlé sùn, kò ro ẹ̀yìn tí ó kọ lórí wàhálà tí ó ń ṣẹlẹ̀ lórílẹ̀‐èdè wa. And let me explain what that means to those of you that do not understand that Yoruba. What that individual is saying is that Tinubu fẹ́ fi iná sí òrìlé. He wants to put the fire on his head when his house is also leaking. Madipi said, power, no wonder they fight for power in Africa. Good evening to you once again. Ayo RSA, Nigeria doesn't have enough resources to go after those nations. Our military is also compromised. Keep the comment coming. Thank you so much, Comrade Plan B, and the rest of you on the platform this evening. We're going to come back again to the last part of the Q&A, but I want to take you back to some of what we know from 2022. There were two in Burkina Faso in 2022, as well as a failed coup attempt in Guinea-Bissau, the Gambia and the island nation of Sao Tome and Principe. In 2021, we had about almost 6 coup attempts in 2021. Once again, this is Star Radio UK, the finest African and Caribbean radio station in London, as we continue to give you all the latest happening from right inside Republic of Niger, where the coup have taken place in the last few days. In 2021, there were 6 coup attempts in Africa. 4 of them were successful. Last year, a senior African Union official, Musa Faki Muhammad, expressed concern about the resurgency of unconstitutional changes of government. What do you think is bringing these unconstitutional changes, where many individuals are saying maybe, just maybe, there should be a coup in Nigeria as well, and that could change the narrative? Do you agree with that? Good evening to you once again, Triple DRS. You also went on to say it is high time that Africans stand up to his neo-colonial master. Also, according to Segun Ono, you went on further to say Niger has uranium and gold in abundance. America and France military base in Niger. Yes, we talked about that. And if you're just joining us, remember that this drone is one of those drones that operate from Niger at the air base that America spent $110 million to build. But as we speak right now, the uncertainty in the country is making things very uncomfortable as the airspace have been closed. When is a coup? Is a coup. One definition used is that of an illegal and overt attempt by military or by other civilian officials to unseat sitting leaders. We've seen individuals, businessmen in Nigeria, paid huge money for the overthrow of government. Everybody knows them. We have seen them sponsoring the coup d'etat in Nigeria. According to a study by 2 U.S. researchers, Jonathan Powell and Clayton Tyner, has identified over 200 such attempts in Africa since the 1950s. About half of these have been successful, that is lasting more than 7 days. And I'll be able to give you one of those that we know of when it comes to the coup in Africa. Let's remind you that during the Senate committee in America, we were told about some of those coup plotters were put together by the same government in America. And let's see if our engineer can help us pull that General Dombozo. How many of you remember that video? Let's see if we can get that video in on the Star Radio UK. The engineers are working to see if they can bring that. While we're doing that, let's go back to the Q&A of the United Nations and the journalist.
A transition has to stop. As in order to discourage a similar situation to happen in the future. Because we have to take into account that until a few years ago, all West Africans were seen as the model of stability and democratic rule. And that image has to be restored.
Linda Fasula.
Into NPR, the UN. My question is about potential negotiations. I believe you said that, the possible threat of the use of force by ECOWAS would only occur after, unless their peace discussions fail, or something to that effect, that there have to be some peace talks. So how much time? I mean, is there any indication, number one, that the coup leaders will participate at all, or might participate just to delay possible use of force?
Well, I cannot go further than ECOWAS does, because...
Okay, let's leave... in. Let's see if we can have that particular video. It seems that we can't have that ready. We'll come back to that in just about a few minutes. Let's go back again to the Q&A. Ready? We'll come back to that in just about a few minutes. Let's go back again to the Q&A.
ECOWAS does, because we are an external organization.
Ready? We'll come back to that in just about a few minutes. Let's go back again to the Q&A.
Based on what I could gather and the summit. And what I did was that first they gave a week the whole process to happen. Therefore, to
put into perspective for us the importance of Niger for UN operations in the region, especially given in Mali the peacekeeping force there is coming to an end. We were told that there's over 1,000 UN employees in Niger, some 300 international, and so on. What kind of work is being done there, and what is at risk as instability increases in the region? Thank you.
Well, so far, our colleagues in Niger continue to run their programs. There is no sign that this can happen. In Mali, it's a different story, because given the withdrawal of Nusma, we have to make sure that they can operate.
So we couldn't get the the audio, the video that we were meant to play, but we see if we can pull that from another source as we are preparing to wind down on this interview. But the picture on the other side is General Dombozo. Remember that the U.S. committee told us that General Dombozo was also part of those planning coup in part of Africa. I'm going to see if I can bring that up from another source. But while we are still waiting to get that in, let's remind you that most of this coup that is also taking place in Africa are put together by the West. Most of us knows that, but the question is, most of us will probably not want to accept such as well. But like I said, we will see if we can bring that. But let's finish listening to the last part of the interview. Thank you so much, Dr. Benjamin. The speech of the military leader of the Burkina Faso is also inspiration. I'm going to come back to more of that, but like I said, we will be winding straight into the NLC right now because we've spent much time on the ECOWAS situation. But the last part, let's listen to that, and then we go straight to the ECOWAS, to the NLC.
If there is no security, obviously they cannot operate. So programs will have to be suspended if there is no guarantee of security for them to operate.
Thank you, Nabil Abisab, Al Arabi TV station. Have you had any discussions in the last 2 days with authorities in Mali and Burkina Faso? We saw that they both considered that any intervention in Niger would be considered as a declaration of war. Also, can you share with us your understanding to what's happening in the region with military leaders, because we see that this is not the first coup in the region, and it seems that there are some shared maybe atmosphere or aspirations in the military authorities to take power, or if you can share with us your thoughts about that.
But on the statement, Mali and Burkina, I don't have any comment to make at this time. What I can tell you is that tomorrow I will be flying to Bamako, so I will have interaction with the authorities, and maybe these matters can be raised. But as for now, I cannot make any comment. Concerning the situation, general situation in the region, why the challenge comes by waves. This used to be a pattern until 20, 30 years ago. Now it's coming back. But some of the initial analysis, preliminary analysis, this is associated also with the deaths of governors, in some times, but also on the contagion effects. When things happen in one country, might happen in one country. But I want to be cautious with that, because these are just preliminary things. There are no firm studies, as far as I know, because each country is different. Yeah. So, but this is a phenomenon we have to look at. What is clear is that the Ecowas want this to come to a stop.
Thanks very much. I wanted to find out when exactly this week-long negotiation begins. Is it today, as of today? And also, you mentioned that some countries in ECOWAS would be willing to intervene militarily. Which countries are they, and do they include Chad? Thanks.
Well, about the summit took place last Sunday. So the end of the time frame given is next Sunday. So, and all countries, I didn't say that there are some countries which were said the organization as such is willing to intervene militarily, but not singling out individual countries, but the organization itself.
Okay, if I may follow up. So which countries in the organization have expressed interest in intervening militarily? Thanks.
Well, they discussed it.
All right, we leave that because of the time constraint. I've been able to pick up the video that we're looking for. The engineer is going to roll that in a minute. Remember that 4 months ago, the U.S. general admitted training African coup leaders. I mean, if you remember that video. There was a particular video that went on air where the U.S. Rep Matters Gates grilled the U.S. first black four-star general Michael E. Langley over training of African soldiers on the March 23rd, 2023. Maybe we should remind you how it was presented to us as at that time. But bear with me, in just about a few minutes, we're going to get that up. But once again, as I say, it is still the Star Radio UK. It is the Wednesday where we talked about the current situation in Africa, as a lot of Nigerians are concerned. A lot of indigenous people are worried. Could this lead to something else? Or should we just say it might lead to nothing apart from speculation? Maybe the ECOWAS will bow down. Maybe they will not. Nobody knows. But by Sunday, we will all find out what is going to happen. But what I can tell you is that some 4 months back, This is what we know about.
And Jordan as well.
Great. Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman. I yield back.
Chair, now recognize the gentleman from Florida, Mr. Gates, for 5 minutes. General Langley, I have constituents that have been scattered across Africa on train and equip missions. So just ballpark, in the last decade, how many Africans has the United States military trained and equipped?
Congressman, I don't have that figure. I can get that figure for you.
Ballpark, just, how many?
Congressman, it would be a wild guess. Right?
Seems like something we should know, right?
Over the years, we have trained a substantial number, especially in the Gulf of Guinea states. But
more than 10,000?
It is more than 10,000.
More than 50,000?
I say we're reaching around 50,000 at least.
And what percentage of the people we've trained end up participating in insurrections or coups against their own government?
Very small number, Congressman. Very small number.
So what percentage do you think?
I'd say probably less than 1%.
But it does happen.
The IMEC program is in force, and we've pushed a significant number through our schools across the.
And what data sets do you track to arrive at the conclusion that less than 1% of the roughly 50,000 that we've trained have participated in coups? It's really about 500. About 1% of 50,000.
Congressman, you may have that information. I don't at this time.
Well, I know there are some, right? Like go ahead and throw up that image. This is Colonel Mamade Doumbouya, and this is a photo of him. Did we train and equip him? In Guinea?
By name, I cannot identify that.
But that guy in the middle with the big red hat, Colonel Mamade Doumbouya, that's him with a bunch of U.S. service members outside of our embassy. And just months after this photo was taken, in 2021, he led a coup in Guinea and threw out the leader. Does that concern you?
Congressman, core values is what we start off with in IMA programs.
Do we share core values with Colonel Doumbouya?
Core values. I will repeat that. Core values. Respect for humanity.
Do we share those values with Colonel Doumbouya?
Absolutely. In our curriculum.
He led a coup?
We do.
Okay, that's a very telling answer. In Burkina Faso, did we share core values with the leader that we trained there who led a coup?
It's in our curriculum. We stress core values. We request civilian-led governance.
Wait, hold on. Is leading coups in our curriculum?
Absolutely not.
So
civilian-led.
My question is, do we share core values with the coup leader in Burkina Faso, who we trained?
Holistically, we teach core values.
All right, let's hold on to that. You've been hearing General Langley being questioned. This was 4 months ago. I hope it is not what I am thinking. I hope it is not what you are thinking. That now 4 months again, there's another coup in Niger Republic. Is it a core value? Is this the kind of the core value that the Americans military are training? Remember that we told you that there is a military base in Niger that was built by the Americans to the tune of $110 million US. Is this the kind of the core value? Victory says the military in Nigeria are errand boys and corrupt themselves. Thank you so much. Keep the comment coming. Olawande, thank you so much. Anyafe. Anna Kulex, thank you so much. And to my beautiful wives, thank you so much. Olawumi Kende says, Mr. Koiki, Ekushe Takuntakun. Okoya Folayan say, good evening, Akogun Media of Yoruba land. Is this the core value? Is this the core value that is now being presented to the general 4 months ago? And it seems now we have another coup. And I hope by the time that we are going to be discussing this in the next couple of months, it will not be what I'm thinking, that this same coup was put together by the West. Let's finish the first part of it, and we've spent good amount of time discussing these. And once again, this is all happening on the finest African network.
Broadcasting worldwide, online 24/7.
Toby Iwaloye, thank you so much. And those of you that are quiet listeners, and this is how we are transmitting this evening, the 2nd of August, 2023.
broadcasting worldwide, online 24/7.
This is Star Radio UK. In your car,
At work,
at home,
on your smartphone.
Okay. Once again, this is still Star Radio UK. And we're going to come back to that, but let's go back to the core value as this general was being questioned on the 23rd of March this year. Core value.
With a respect for civilian governments, apolitical, and that's what sticks across a very high percentage in the 90 over 95%.
Right? But not everybody. And when I wonder how many people it takes to plan a coup. I mean, initially you didn't know how many were trained and equipped. Then you said it was 1%. You had no basis for that 1% number because there's no data set you track. Mr. Chairman, I seek unanimous consent to enter into the record. Another U.S. trained soldier stages a coup in West Africa by the intercept.
Without objection, sir.
And I further seek unanimous consent to enter into the record. U.S. forces trained the Guinean colonel behind the recent coup in West African country, and this is regarding Guinea.
Without objection, sir.
So I guess the question is, why should U.S. taxpayers be paying to train people who then lead coups in Africa?
Core value. It is the core value.
Congressman?
It's the core value. Our curriculum
harvest this core value
is the core value,
and also to be able to embolden these countries for a representative democracy.
But General, that democracy isn't what emerges. The problem is, I know you may have great confidence in what you're teaching, but when two governments have been overthrown, I guess how many governments have to be overthrown by people we train before you sort of get the message that our core values might not be sticking?
Well, you had that again. How many more government needs to be overthrown? And 4 months after this committee, another government have been overthrown in Niger Republic, or Republic of Niger, as we want to put it that way. Well, I hope you've been finding it very interesting. Adeniyi Adejubri say we shouldn't forget that our former president Muhammadu Buhari of Nigeria just came back from Niger Republic. What does that mean? Is it part of the core value? As we now finish the last part, and then I will start going into the NLC and the other conversation. My name is OLAMILEKAN, and this is the Star Radio UK, the core value. Let's go back again.
Is it 5 countries? 10?
We'll continue with our persistence in assuring
but do you think it's
that they harbor democratic norms, democratic values.
Just a moment ago, you said we shared core values with Colonel Doumbouya. You said that just moments ago in response to my question, and his core value seems to be leading a coup. So I don't think it's stuck. I think we should at least know how many countries we train the coup plotters in. How many is too many? Because clearly 2 is not too many, and I think we could use our resources far more effectively.
The core value, bear with us, those of you on the sister broadcast, we hope the transmission will come back. Yes, and as I always say, it is the core value. My name is OLAMILEKAN, and now we go straight into the NLC. The Nigerian Labour Congress and the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu have been slugging it out in Nigeria today. As you can see there, everyone is out there. I've been looking at all the images. Nigerians, workers are like, no way, we are not listening to you, Bola Tinubu. And some of those, you can see the placard there, stop the subsidy. And it seems that everybody is out on the street, from Abuja to Kaduna, from almost every part of Nigeria. So let me give you some of the timeline of what we know when it comes to those. Also, 17 new individuals have made Tinubu list. And I can tell you those names, as we now have it as well. The former Osun State Governor, Simon Lalong. How many of you remember Simon Lalong is also included? It seems that all the former governor are there. Nigeria is just, a very funny country when it comes to, the ministerialists. Let's now come back and ask the question before we go into the ministerialists. the update coming from Nigeria when it comes to this issue surrounding the NLC. How many more days do you think that the NLC can paralyze the government? How many days do you think they will need to be on the street? How many more days? 1 day, 2 days, 3 days? How many more days do you think that they will need? Sonke, good evening to you. Larry Lamina, good evening to you. Mr. Comrade Shegun Honor said, look, ECOWAS could start the fight, but the question is, will they be able to finish what they start? Thank you so much, Radio UK. I say good afternoon to you, Mr. Koiki, with the rest of the team. Thank you so much. Aziz Badebo. Aziz Badeshere, rather. Good evening to no Badebo. Aziz, thank you so much for joining us. Looking at the NLC, I mean, the question we should ask ourselves tonight is, are they serious? Will they come back out again tomorrow, day after tomorrow? How many more days? I saw, the Femi Falana speaking, and let's see if we can get what Femi Falana was saying during the engagement with the protester on the ground. Is it also they are toothless according to Sonke. Once again, to support us, that is the link for those of you that would think of supporting us. We appreciate those of you that continue to support the media. Remember that a media is there for you, and we are here 24/7 giving you exactly what you need to know. I'm trying to see if we can get what the engineers are bringing that up in a few minutes. What was said by there's a lot of report that was coming out as well. This was Ekiti State. So quite a lot of reportage was coming out, but we'll see if we can get the one from let's see if we can get the one from Femi Falana. Femi Falana was also the senior advocate of Nigeria, and this was his address in Lagos State. Let's listen to this.
Insist on a meeting of constituency with Senator and House of Representatives and make your demand. Secondly, the IOCs are owing Nigeria $66 billion. $62 billion. International oil company. Yes. Are you with me? Yes. Where we do have a matter now. If you collect okay. And I've submitted a letter to the government that we can collect $200 billion. If the Lagos state government is ready to work with us, we can make this money available to the government. And that will be the contribution of workers in Lagos state to the ongoing development of the country. If we have $200 billion, we just remove $74 billion only by Nigeria. And we shall have enough money for development. Since I came out with those figures, no agency of government can challenge me. And therefore, telling the government in Abuja, please, democracy is under threat in West Africa. Let us consolidate our democracy by taking care of the masses. Do you understand me? Yes! Let the masses breathe.
Let the masses breathe. And again, let's listen to this.
If this country did not stand up now and bring a new bread, I die 5 times in a day, or some people cannot do that. I have to come from a side to this way this morning. I need to find people. If you go to church, they are taking. See, some people now they put their back to face.
Well, there's a lot of people out there today protesting. I don't know what your takes are on that, but my take is that the government needs to put things in place to support, the workers. Many Nigerians are living abject poverty. We hope that this government, promises to put about 500 billion when it comes to palliative. I hope government will be doing the needful to support as many Nigerians that are out there. We are concerned I'm also reading from here now. The governor of Edo State stopped the federal government palliative fraud. Obaseki also backs the Nigerian Labour Congress protest. I hope it's not just for gimmick, because we know how all these governors are operating. Edo State Governor Godwin Obaseki has also supported the Nigerian Labour Congress in his nationwide protest against the federal government over fuel subsidy removal. Obaseki called on the organized labor to tackle the federal government over palliatives it was planned to distribute to Nigerians to the effect of the fuel subsidy removal. Thank you so much, Mr. Kunle Shita. As we are now half an hour into the last part of the program, the question again now is, how many of you believe in the purported fake letter circulated by a lawyer that we believe should have been representing Mazi Nnamdi Kanu? Remember now that this letter has almost divided the Biafra, just as we were divided when we had the Dagburu woman called Dupe Onitiri. Remember that Dupe Onitiri even told us that she has declared a Yoruba nation. Whether that was declared in her bedroom, whether that was declared in her sitting room, the same thing is now playing out as well with the Biafra. As the Biafra continue to sit at home for 2 weeks, Aloy Ejimakor, just as the 2 weeks was about to kickstart, told the Biafrans that there's a letter that is smuggled out, because I don't know how he got the letter out in the first place. He must have smuggled the letter out of the DSS custody. And he stated that the letter indicated that Simon Ekpa must pull the plug on the 2 weeks sit at home. My question is, how did Aloy Ejimakor, he might as well just take a mobile phone inside and do another video recording as well. Because these were the same legal team that told us that they couldn't get anything to Nnamdi Kanu, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, because the DSS would not allow such. These have literally also divided some of the Biafrans that never wanted anything in the first place. Let's remind ourselves that the right to self-determination is an inalienable right, and that right must be respected. As we now ask Bola Tinubu, as he wants to go to Niger, what is he and his government doing on the issue on the table when it comes to the kidnapping, the rendition of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu from Kenya from the former President Muhammadu Buhari? It seems that Bola Tinubu is more concerned about Niger, but right under his nose, there is more problem that needs to be dialogued and resolved. As we know, it is already 3 months into his government, as all his ministers are now almost put in place. Let me remind you that as at 3:15 p.m., the chief of staff went into the Alores chamber and handed over more names. And let me give you some of those names that has now been presented by Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Maybe this time around, they will start talking about Dr. Chief Sunday Igboho, embargo, and as well other issues in Nigeria. The nominees are Ahmed Tijani Kwazo, Bosun Tijani, Dr. Isaac Salako, Dr. Tuji Alausa, Dr. Yusuf Tanko Sununu, Adegboyega Oyetola, Atiku Bagudu, Bello Matawali, Ibrahim Gideon, Simon Lalong, Lola Adejon. Others are Dr. Mariam Shetty, Prince Shuaibu Abubakar Udu, Dr. Mariam, Professor Taye Maman, Senator Sabi Abdullahi, Senator Alkali Ahmed Saidu, Senator Anikin Lokobori, Uba Magire Amadu, and Buitrus Gisalo. These are the new names that have also been put out. Let's come back again and ask, is the new government of Bola Tinubu as it's trying to find a lasting solution to the problem in Niger Republic. Is he also going to find a lasting solution to the issue surrounding Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, the leader of the Biafra, or is he going to do the same thing and take it personal, just as the former president Muhammadu Buhari took it too personal? The question is, how much time do we need to give this government before it starts talking to some of the pertinent issues when it comes to those agitating? We know that the Professor Adebanji Akintoye has promised that delegation will be sent to Bola Ahmed Tinubu within the next couple of days as soon as we have declared. Remember that a letter has been sent to Bola Tinubu, the government, on the 29th of May 2023. What is this government going to do with also the issue on the table between Bola Tinubu's government and Dr. Chief Sunday Adeyemo Igboho? Many Yoruba believe that Igboho has not committed any crime, as against the crime that Asari Dokubo is pushing into the eyes of many Nigerians. All these are pertinent questions that many Nigerians are saying. Is it one rule for Asari Dokubo and a different rule for Dr. Chisunde Adeyemo Igboho? We know that the former president Muhammadu Buhari intention was to assassinate Dr. Chisunde Igboho on July 1st, 2021, just as he tried to assassinate Mazi Nnamdi Kanu in 2017. Those two missions failed, but individuals were killed. And the question is, let's listen to this again.
Ex-Niger Delta militant leader Asari Dokubo over the weekend, in a brazen show of support, unveiled a group of militants working for President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. But Dokubo, while addressing the militants on parade in a video that has now gone viral, one that anybody that misbehaves or seeks Tinubu's downfall will be smashed.
We work for President Ahmed Bola Tinubu, and he will succeed. Anybody who is planning for him to kill the person has already. If he do anyhow, you do anyhow. 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 You don't believe what to do. Oh my God.
All right.
Now, the question we should ask is, what is the offense of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu? What is the offense of Dr. Chisunde Adeyemo Igboho that were around the two of them? One has been in the custody of the DSS for the last 2 years. And it's as the Biafrans continue to abide by the civil disobedience, which is the only way they can pressurize the government and the international community to focus on the real individuals that was kidnapped, renditioned back. Asari Dokubo, we saw on the social media with AK-49, not one, I saw two, branding it and saying that if it was not what it is, it would still be selling the Igbos as slaves. And the DSS has not done anything yet. We know that Asari Dokubo paid a courtesy visit to Tinubu some few weeks back. Is this what Tinubu is telling Asari Dokubo to prepare for the anarchy in case the Election Petition Tribunal comes back to declare him as the illegitimate government in power. Is this going to be the situation, or are we just a little bit concerned? These are all the questions that many of us are asking. Asari Dokubo stated it clearly that he is working for Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and no one out there should make any attempt, because it is turn by turn, no. Najagaban turn, no. Turn by turn, no. Make una go wait for your turn. Bola Tinubu, the president, is trying to resolve the crisis in the Ecowas, whereas there is more crisis at home that he needs to discuss. My question tonight is now agitating a crime under the international law. What does the international law say when it comes to agitating or those asking for the right to self-determination? What is the offense of those kept in the prison by the DSS? We saw President Bola Ahmed Tinubu travel to Benin Republic yesterday for the 63rd independent anniversary of that country. What is the side talk between the two governments when it comes to Dr. Chief Sunday Adeyemo Igboho? Do you think that Talon is asking question? Do you think that Tinubu is giving answer? Because Tinubu is aware that Igboho is in Benin Republic. Bola Tinubu, the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, is quite aware that Igboho is still in Benin Republic. He is also aware that Nnamdi Kanu is in the DSS custody for a crime that he hasn't committed. Why are we then talking about the unity of Nigeria when the unity seems to be breaking apart on a daily basis? Is Bola Tinubu, the president, going to do what many Nigerians expect him to do when it comes to the rule of law? We saw how rule of law was not played in accordance when it comes to the issue of Emefiele and the DSS. The report coming in again, Bola Tinubu will be having a closed-door meeting in Aso Rock between himself and the leader of NLC and TUC. Let's listen to this and we come back again. Well, is he going to recruit 50 million youth? It's also on the 5th of August. We are expecting to have a transmission of the Yoruba Nation radio that will be coming on air on August 5th at exactly 8 p.m. Ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ ọmọ Yorùbá ti ń bèrè pé irú rédíò wo leléyìí? Eléyìí kò ń ṣe online radio nìkan. Eléyìí máa jáde lórí frequency tí a mọ̀ sí 17735 KHZK. Gbogbo ẹni tó bá máa gbọ́ kò ní jáde lórí FM. Ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ ń bèrè lọ́wọ́ wa pé kí ni ìdí gan tí rédíò yìí tí kò wá lórí FM? Bí a ti ṣe sọ fún wa tẹ́lẹ̀ pé FM bí ẹ bá gbé síta àwọn ìjọba náà máa mọbi tó wá paná ẹ̀. But the shortwave orí satellite ló ń bá bọ̀. Látòrí satellite ló máa fi wọ inú afẹ́fẹ́. Láti inú afẹ́fẹ́ á dénú ibi tí a ti máa gbọ́. satellite wọn kò ń ṣe FM tí ẹ kàn máa rí transmitter síbì kan tí a máa dún síta, ìyẹn ni wọ́n ṣe ń pè ní satellite. Gbogbo ẹni tó bá dẹ̀ mọ̀ tí satellite ṣe ń ṣiṣẹ́, ibikíbi ni satellite lè wà, a kàn máa pick signal. So níjọ́ Saturday, ìyẹn ní ọjọ́ 5 oṣù kẹjọ ọdún 2023 ní aago 8 ilẹ̀ Yorùbá, afẹ́fẹ́ rédíò yìí máa gbóhùn sókè. Lẹ́yìn yẹn ní ọjọ́ Saturday àti Sunday ní wákàtí kankan látago 8 sí aago 9, ẹ máa gbọ́ ohun tó á máa jáde lórí afẹ́fẹ́ ìyẹn tí wọ́n ń pè ní short wave radio SW. Kò ń ṣe FM, kò dẹ̀ ń ṣe MW, short wave. Níbẹ̀ lẹ ti máa gbọ́ ohun yìí. Pẹ̀lú ẹ̀ náà wọ́n tún wá ti ṣe the online version tí yẹn ti ń dún láti ìgbà tí wọ́n ti ṣe kalẹ̀. A gbọ́ díẹ̀ nínú afẹ́fẹ́ tó ń jáde nínú FM transmitter yẹn fáǹfààní àwa tí a bá mọ link yẹn a fi síta fún gbogbo wa. Lẹ́ẹ̀kan sí ní agbára Elédùmarè, gbogbo àwọn tó ń ṣètò wọ́n fi tó wa létí pé ní ọjọ́ 5 ìyẹn oṣù kẹjọ tí a wà nínú ẹ̀ ní aago 8 gbáko, kí gbogbo wa ń kọ́ àwa tí a bá ní ìyẹn rédíò tó ní short wave kí a gbé síta, kí a gbé sí 17335. Níbẹ̀ láti máa gbọ́ ohun tó máa jáde síta láṣẹ Èdùmàrè. Ìyẹn gẹ́gẹ́ bí ìkéde tí wọ́n ní ká sọ fún gbogbo ẹ̀yin ọmọ Yorùbá. Lẹ́ẹ̀kan sí Star Radio UK, ìyẹn lórí afẹ́fẹ́, níbẹ̀ ni a ti ń sọ̀rọ̀ lẹ́ni ọjọ́ kẹjọ oṣù ọdún 2023. As we are now almost coming towards the end, for the benefit of our listeners around the world, we say thank you so much for being part of the program this evening. As I always say, without you, there's no Star Radio UK. Without you, there is no Niger Voices. Thank you so much to everyone that have joined us. Omobolaji, Elijah Sherifat Agbabiaka, Oke Kayode, Tinubu and his cohort have no solution to Nigeria problem. Thank you so much. Yes, the radio is a shortwave. It will work anywhere in the world as long as you have the shortwave radio with you. So if you keep it about Letima Lamfani Atigbo, whether you are in America, as long as you have the shortwave, you will be able to listen to it regardless of wherever you are. As long as Tebatini, the radio, where you can tune in and then you can listen. But the link for those that want to listen online is also available, and we'll be telling you a little bit more about that because that is already in operation as I speak to you right now, and we see if we can get a little bit of signal from that in just about a few minutes. As I always say, we continue with the campaign of the Yoruba nation while the Biafra continue. It's two different movements. We cannot compare it together. But also for those that are not aware, www.ysdm.org, which stands for the Yoruba Self-Determination Movement. Àwọn náà ń ṣe agbátẹrù gbogbo ohun tó yẹ kí gbogbo wa máa mọ̀ nípa ọ̀rọ̀ Yoruba nation. Gbogbo ẹni tó bá ń béèrè fún líǹkì tí ẹ lè máa fi gbọ́ online version of the radio. Líǹkì yẹn a máa fi sí orí afẹ́fẹ́ níbi tí ẹ ti ń wò wá ní wákàtí. Gbogbo ẹni tó bá ti rí líǹkì yẹn náà ẹ fi ṣọwọ́. The YSDM was created so that we can have a cordial relationship where we can have it in one singular unit. And that literally means that the YSDM has been working very hard. We saw them participating with so many of the campaign trail that took place inside Nigeria during the campaign of the protests and rallies that was going on. And those of you that are not aware with the YSDM, I'm going to tell you a little bit more about that. But first, let's listen to a snip of that particular radio, which is the online version. You can download it on the apps on the iOS, where you can listen to it directly. That is also what it looks like. As you can see there, it can be downloaded from your Play Store. It is not yet available on the iOS, but they are working towards that. Very, very easy. Within a space, that is fine to feel Bolori online. But the online here is Monday to Sunday, while the one coming through the shortwave where you can listen to in Africa, in Asia, wherever you are, in England, in Europe, because it's a short wave. And that literally means that the transmission can be listened to by anybody. But for those that want to just listen online, you would also have internet data on your mobile phone. With that internet data, you will not be able to listen to the online version. And as you can tell, it has completely downloaded, and I'm going to open it, and we will listen to Kilo One in Red. Part of more programs will be there as well. So let's quickly talk about the YSDM. We are working towards the common goal. And what is the common goal? The Yoruba self-determination. And this is what you need to know about the YSDM. I'm going to give you a history of that as I'm opening the Zeno Radio. It's called the Zeno Radio for those of you that would love to listen to that. It will ask you what country. I am currently in United Kingdom. I click on the continue, which is very straightforward. You might want to skip, or you might just want to go straight into the next. I want to listen to it in English, and that is, click agree, and right there and there, you will be able to search for whichever radio station that you are looking for. And we are actually looking for the one that pertains to us. There are so many online radio stations, and the one that we are talking about is the one that got to do with Yoruba Nation. So you type that, and then right there, you can see it. It comes up straight away. So by the time you even type Yoruba Nation, it comes up, and then you can click on play, and the sound kicks in. But for those that just want to have to listen through the radio, that one is 1 hour. And like I said, the reason for that, for the time being, from what we are told, is because, okay, I want to listen on the audio, and then I click on the play, and it's going to come up now. So,
Zoe, I own Muck and Brass, which is an upcycling homewares business, and this is why I switched to Shopify. One of my biggest challenges was the lack of support when I really needed it, and it would always slow down the momentum of my business. With Shopify, I could get hold of a real person quickly,
so let's wait
and
for
not
that to
only
go
would
through.
they solve a problem I had, they'd also give me the tools to feel empowered moving forward. Start your new journey today on Shopify.
Get a $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/green. That's shopify.com/green.
I'm Zoe. I own Muck and Brass, which is an upcycling homewares business, and this is why I switched to Shopify.
Let's see. Bear with us. Let me see if. Let's put that again.
They were horrified to see what had happened.
So this is now the radio, the online version speaking right now.
And ended up in Ibadan. And they were among the young men who fought the Ilorin army in 1840 in Osogbo and defeated the Ilorin army and captured the leading Yoruba men.
Well, somebody asked if it will reach our people in the rural area. That is why it's called a shortwave radio. So if it can reach you in America, it will reach people in the rural area as long as they have the shortwave radio. So about any shortwave radio, they will be able to listen to it. So it doesn't matter wherever you are in Nigeria, you will listen to it. As long as you tell our people, I want to tune in into that frequency on Saturday when it's going to go live. And those of you outside the country, you can also get a radio. You can get a digital shortwave, or you can get the one that you can just tune in. You know, the normal old one that you can tune in. As long as you're switching to the shortwave, SW. So it doesn't matter wherever you are. But the one you just listened to now is the online version that is already working. That is called the Yoruba Nation Radio.
Hey, Charlie. She loves dogs. Guilty.
Okay, sorry about that. It keeps coming back with some kind of advert as well. So.
tó sì gbé ìjọba tó padà gbé fún olóyè Olúṣẹ́gun Ọbásanjọ́ gẹ́gẹ́ bí ìjọba alágbádá àṣepamọ́ ló wà o kò sáṣegbé Olúṣẹ́gun Ọbásanjọ́ yọ̀ǹda ìjọba fún Ṣẹ́hù Ṣàgàrí ìjọba alágbádá Àbùsàlámì náà gẹ́gẹ́ bí ológun òun náà tó padà yọ̀ǹda.
So link eléyìí fún gbogbo ẹni tí ẹ bá fẹ́ link yẹn the link will be posted on the platforms where we are streaming from, and you can be able to download it, and then you can have it on your phone. But Fentofe Magboni online version, you will not be able to listen if you don't have, the internet access on your phone. But for the radio one, it's a shortwave, and I've explained why it is a shortwave. It's expensive. You cannot run it, in a full Monday to Friday, Monday to Sunday. Very, very expensive when it comes to. It's like somebody holding a satellite phone, and everybody knows that a satellite phone cannot be traced. A satellite phone cannot be like your normal mobile phone. The reason why these other phones are cheap as compared to a satellite phone is because it is more open. And the reason why it is more open because every meter there's a mast. So those masts are the one transmitting the WhatsApp communication, the video call and all that. So if you want the link is already on the chart there. Click on that link and then you can download it, or you can just go to Zeno on the App Store, download Zeno, and from there you'll be able to listen. There's so many other ones. The Ilano US Charter also add their own new online version. So we now have many online versions of the radio station that is operating to discuss, educate, enlighten as many reasons why we should be opting out of Nigeria as quickly as possible. So Zeno is the name of the app that you should be looking for on the Play Store. Zeno is the name of the app. You type in Zeno Radio, not Zeno FM, Zeno Radio. So when you type in Zeno Radio, it automatically takes you straight into these particular apps. And you download the apps, you will find the Yoruba Nation there. So let's quickly talk about, because we are 4 minutes before I'll be checking out and then heading into the end of the program. Today is the second day of August 2023, 26 minutes past 8 p.m. local time from London. As I say to us, we all have a role to play when it comes to the movement. Some of us are saying that, based on the communication we are getting from people, they are saying that kakoko tidy up, lewano, katolo she ita. Well, we might agree with them, we might disagree with them. It's all about agree and disagree. Some people still want to keep Nigeria. That is their view. You cannot stop anybody that wants to keep Nigeria. But for those of us that say we've had enough of Nigeria, Nigeria is a contraction. It is not working. We saw the death of that doctor that took place on Monday. The lift have been reported since 2018. Lottie report the lift here. She eventually died. Died for the negligence of a country called Nigeria. So when some of you are saying, good evening to you, Mr. Joseph Wasil Yusuf, good evening to you. Thank you so much to many of you that have joined us. So when we are saying that Nigeria is not working, some of you say it is just leadership problem. Okay, nobody's going to argue with you. But let me quickly read out, a copy of a forwarded message that linked to the death of our sister that died in the custody of, in the General Hospital in Lagos State. And let me quickly read out. Thank you so much once again to all our listeners on the Twitter space, from Ebos to Rotimi to Alamu, Oladipupo, Esther, and also Injoko. Bear with us if we have not pronounced your name very well. Remember that every name is a blessing. And when we don't pronounce those names well, you might really not be pleased, but bear with us if those names are not pronounced properly. So let me quickly read out, these beautiful, sister that died because of the negligence, of the government of Lagos State. What does it take to repair or even repair? Don't put a new one and service the lift, but it seems as usual, it is the same rhetorics. Ijaya, thank you so much. Mrs. Comfort, Mrs. Bemeleke, and the rest of all the koikimedia fans as well that is out there. We appreciate you for joining us on the Star Radio UK every Wednesday on Niger Voices. We are very, very grateful. Remember that Nigeria, we don't pray to happen to you, but when it happens, it will hit you as you might never think of. And this is a beautiful sister that we're talking about. The engineer will quickly give us the image, and then we will read the copied, forwarded message that got to our studio. We pray for the family. She studied at Babcock University 6 years. It cost arms and leg to study at this university. It's not a public university, and this is what came out from the message in circulation. Go along with me. Death of the young Delta doctor in Lagos State. When Dr. Owerri was being inducted as a Nigerian doctor after a 6-year sojourn at Babcock University last year. She had high hopes and expectations. She had hopes for a flourishing medical career, expectations to use her newly learned medical skills to benefit the community and the society at large. Train a child at Babcock Medical College is quite expensive and does not come cheap. 3.5 million per annum for his school fees alone during her time. It is now almost double, 6.5 million per annum. But her parents did it because they wanted to give her the best to their daughter and then to avoid any illness in the Nigerian university ecosystem. Post-induction, Dr. Overe got a place to do her internship at the General Hospital Odon, Lagos Island, a facility owned by the Lagos State government. Before Dr. Overe joined the General Hospital as a student doctor, it was noticed by the resident doctors and the staff of the hospital that the only elevator at the hospital had been in a bad shape since 2018. And then there was no running water in the hospital. But because of the Nigerian anyhowness, one big madam or oga siphoned or embezzled the money meant to replace the elevator, while patchy work was done at the elevator to serve as a temporary recipe, endangering people's lives in the process and turning deaf ears to the genuine complaints by the resident doctors at the hospital. The elevator was so bad that it stopped at interval and you had to do a manual use your hand to close it in order to continue your journey. The carelessness, wickedness, and any illness culture we have here have finally ended the journey and the dreams of Dr. Overe. Just like the rest of us, Dr. Overe woke up today with bright hopes for the month of August. She was upbeat for one reason. Her housemanship at the General Hospital, Odon, Lagos, was finally coming to an end. She had less than 2 weeks to round up. She went to work excited that she has less than 2 weeks to complete her housemanship. And this afternoon, a dispatch rider who brought the food she ordered online called her on the phone to let her know that he was around. Since she was free, she elected to go and pick the food herself from the ground floor, where the dispatch rider was. On her way to meet the dispatch rider, she entered the faulty elevator, and then guess what? Disaster struck. The elevator fell from the 10th floor where she was to the ground with a loud thud that shook the foundation of the hospital. Even the dispatch rider who was waiting at the entrance of the elevator thought that Armageddon was here when he heard the noise. So the man ran for his dear life. It took 1 hour before Dr. Overe was rescued from the debris of what was once the elevator. She was still alive, though badly injured, and was bleeding when she was brought out and rushed to the emergency section of the hospital. From the multiple accounts of those who witnessed this sorry drama, Dr. Overe was crying that she did not want to die. Even while stuck in the elevator for hours, she was crying for help. I don't want to die. Help me, she cried. Help me, she cried non-stop. She cried that she wanted to live and not to die. But her wish to live was truncated by the Nigerian anyhowness. She snuffed the life out of her. Again, Nigerian anyhowness kicked in and deprived her of this chance to live. She was taken to the emergency section of the hospital, but after another delay because there was no blood. That was how Dr. Overe gave up the ghost. The young lady died just like that. Corruption kills. This is another part of the corruption we don't discuss well enough. We just lost Dr. Overi because of the Hydra-headed monster and the Nigerian culture of anyhowness. I am visibly upset as I am writing this. This is not right. We can't continue like this. We can't continue living like animals. For how long we will continue to tolerate losing our best and brightest to this culture of mediocrity? Nigeria keep devouring its youth. Nigeria failed Dr. Overi. May our innocent blood spill for no reason. Hunt and punish those criminals who embezzle the money meant for a new elevator. That is how far I can go tonight. That, as we say, may Nigeria not happen to you. May Nigeria not happen to anyone. May Nigeria not happen to me and you. We pray for the family of these, our sister, that death took away. As I leave you, I can only say, it is Star Radio UK, Niger Voice says, every Wednesday, make sure you tune in and join me next week. May the soul of our sister rest in peace. And as we say, Nigeria is really going into the verge of breakup. It will break at the appropriate time when Nigerians are aware of the danger. Have a very good evening from this end. Bye for now. It is the finest African and Caribbean radio station in London. My name is OLAMILEKAN. I'll be back again at 11 o'clock with Mr. Archie tomorrow when we take again and look at some of the issues affecting Nigeria. Bye for now. Well, Taban sọ fáwọn èèyàn wa pé Nigeria is a crime scene. Many of you always say it is not. We've seen what happened to this sister. She believed so much in Nigeria. But as we can say, Nigeria disappointed the family. She was killed in Nigeria. I'm going to bring my face in just about a few minutes. Bear with us while we operate into our own studio, because we've just come out of the studio of the Star Radio. And yeah, that is my face there. Thank you so much to every one of you that joined me. Mr. Kunlexi, appreciation to every one of you. We're going to close the Twitter space. I hope you've enjoyed the 2.5 hours program with us this evening. As I say, thank you so much for every one of you. Bye for now for those of you on the Twitter space. Well, we talked about it every day, but many people do not take it serious. And this is why, many people die for the negligence of a system that is not going to work. Nigerians care less. They will do RIP. They will do Twitter space, hashtag of this person. By Saturday, everyone has forgotten she died in that lift. That doesn't mean that the lift is going to be repaired anyway. This is what is happening to so many of you every day. People are dying without getting to the age that the United Nations or the WHO told you. Remember, I told you that if you're going to survive in Nigeria, you will not survive up to the age of 52 years old. Gbogbo wa la máa ń sọ fún yín, ẹ máa ń rò pé eré là ń ṣe. Wọ́n ní order oúnjẹ tèmi náà máa order ní bíbá. Though I don't go in the lift, but imagine how many of you abroad, they might order oúnjẹ, they might want no lift. Accident happen. I don't want to sit here and always put it out there that accident don't happen. Accident is meant to happen. But it is also the responsibility of the government to put as many things in place, especially for a lift. Dr. sọ pé kò ṣiṣẹ́ láti 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020, 21, 22. So for 5 years, lift yẹn ò ṣiṣẹ́. For 5 years, they left that lift like that. And somebody just lost someone special today.
And you can see why we are saying, are we sure that some of us, we are not having psychiatric problem? That's why Nigeria is working. I mean, this is a general hospital. Resident doctors, àwọn tó ń tọ́jú àwọn tí wọ́n sick. Imagine people that are treating people that are sick. What to lift wọn ṣe? And you that you are sick, wọ́n ní kò sí blood ní hospital. They couldn't even find the blood to give her after she must have lost a lot of blood. For 1 hour, she was crying. She doesn't want to die. But she died. Everybody will just move on. I know that. How many people remember Dr. Chinelo? Or where? Dr. Chinelo is gone. Ó di gbére, ó dojú ọrùn, ó di kinní kan làwọn Yorùbá máa sọ. Oríṣiríṣi láti ń kú. We're used to that. Nobody cares, you know. We care. You know, àwọn ilé ń dùn. Àwọn governor Matawali, all these criminals. Ọlọ́run ṣe ránkà dédé sábẹ́ àwọn tó máa jẹ́ ní ẹṣẹ́ rí. Ìyẹn tó lọ fọwọ́ kan ẹsẹ̀. You see that? Everybody fọwọ́ kan ẹsẹ̀. They are excited. Ikú oró ni bèbí yẹn kú mẹ́. Nàìjíríà. Ẹ̀yin tèmi, ẹ fi ń sílẹ̀ kí n máa lọ. Ọlọ́run kó ṣọ́ wa dọ̀la lágbára Ọlọ́run. Ìwọ̀n yẹn la máa sùn. Kí la máa sọ? RIP náà ni. Àlùsọ ju yẹn lọ. Tinubu gbóhùn ẹ̀ kó lọ Niger. Problem ti ẹnìyẹn kò ṣe problem tèmi. What would be? Ẹ lọ attack you. Bẹ́ẹ̀ni, Chinelo was attacked, you know, on the rail track. Even when she said she was attacked, people were saying she's lying. Then Mr. Stella, people will move on like nothing happened. Hiroshi. By now, one person got killed in France. The whole country was shut down for 5 days. Nigerians, everybody just move on and see if nothing happened. And when me a day here, they shout. They go say, "Now me want destroy Nigeria. Now me want bring war come Nigeria." I don't know whether I get the kind of weapon where I go bring war come Nigeria. The moment I say something now, they let me crop, let me move, let me translate calculate. I remember when a train and a bus that pulled the two of them together. I told people certain things. Video they mean what caught, you know, and they say, Koiki, how can you stay in London and be facilitating problem on the ground? So I just leave every one of you right now. What we bite every one of us, we bite us. Moki Aziz, Moki Bugwele, Ọmọ Bọ́lájí, ẹ ká lọ fẹ̀gbẹ́ lélẹ̀, bá tẹ fẹ̀gbẹ́ lélẹ̀, kébì náà lọ jókòó kí máa wo tó ń lọ ní orí social media. Ó dà ń pè Simon Ekpade náà máa ṣe state of the address lálẹ́, bí dẹ̀ ti bẹ̀rẹ̀ ṣá, màá kọ́ close ilé, màá lè ṣe transmission yẹn. I don't know whether he has started. I don't know whether, let's see. I'm not sure yet. All right, let me end the delay so that to start, I could bring that into a live transmission. I don't think he has started yet.